Okay, ready to go? All right. All right, everybody, thank you for being here tonight. It's the Town of Poolesville Commissioners Meeting on Tuesday, February 18th, starting once again promptly at 7 p.m. Thank you to everybody for being here tonight. We appreciate you, and thanks for coming out. We've got all kinds of good stuff on the agenda. So we'll start it off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ed, go ahead and give it to us.
All right, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good call. Good call. All right, gang, good stuff. Thank you for getting us kicked off there. This is the time of the meeting when we do our usual commissioner announcements and committee reports. And so, Ed, if you want to kick us off again, or if you want to go, if you're ready. If not, I can go somewhere else.
Start on this one.
Okay, gotcha. I knew it. Alan, are you prepared to jump in?
I'm ready for, let's see, where we at? We are at the Parks Rec.
Yes.
So our last meeting, we had, actually, it was quick. It was a 45-minute meeting. We
Okay.
had three, there we go, better now.
Yep.
Three absent, but it was very efficient, actually. We discussed the dog park relocation, and a little bit of funding for that. So that was good. Obviously, it's going to be happening over at Stevens Park from, what we had discussed. I don't know if we have the exact location yet, is what my understanding is, but we will work on that.
There's a couple of things that we want to work out because of stormwater issues related to the pond that's there. And so the exact location we're still planning. We're actually having a discussion about that today, so.
Perfect. Well, basically, that was what I had talked about. As you can see through town, some of our holiday lights are now down. We still have a few colored lights that I guess, once we get the road blocked off in timely fashion, plus the staff, and can get through that. Also looking at changes to, instead of taking individual light bulbs out every year, seeing if we can get a multicolored strand where we can change them, I guess, remotely.
Well, yeah, so with the development next door, there's going to be changes to how the lights are going to be set up because some of those poles are going away. So part of that process is looking at maybe upgrading the lights to multicolored lights so it's less manual labor to replace them.
We talked about some miscellaneous streetlights that were needed to get fixed on 107 as well. And we talked about getting some parks visits from the commissioners. I mean, I know that I have to, now that hopefully the weather is going to be changing here soon, and we're going to dodge a bullet with some snow, it looks like tomorrow, so that's good. We talked about a little bit just, basic AEDs over at Stevens Park, compensating for some costs on that. A little bit of, internal stuff with the first aid and the CPR training happening here in Town Hall for us. So, but that's about what we had. It was short, quick, and, to the point.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, according to the lights are always, there's a guy that's left his truck in his yard too long, and he can change his light colors with this.
We've had complaints about that truck.
I believe it doesn't have a tag on it.
No,
Because the Santa tag fell off. So, yeah, but anyway, it does work this way. So hopefully I know that everything costs money, so you guys will figure that one out, I'm sure. So, thank you, Parks. Appreciate it. Good stuff. Any other announcements for you?
Not yet.
Okay, good. That's fine. No worries. Brian, since we're looking down this
All
way.
right, I'll go next. We had a Parks Board meeting on the 12th, it was just last Wednesday.
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission.
Yep.
Planning Commission too. There were three pretty good items on the agenda, so I decided not to go.
Good job.
Yeah, but the board did a really good job deliberating some things. Really, only one thing that's going to be coming this direction now is the Trails Working Group recommendation. So it's not on this week's agenda, but I'm assuming it'll be.
In March, we're working on the details there.
But that was a good presentation, very much the same as what
Right.
Parks has seen.
Very thorough and detailed. It was a great presentation.
Yep. we heard a petition for a special exception on Bud Road for the ability to raise some livestock from the Julie Coolman. There were some things that needed to be worked out, some parameters. No decision was made, so she's going to come back the next meeting with some more information and a nutrient management plan. But that was good conversation. And then the next was the wastewater and wastewater allocation request for the Bricken property, which led to a lot of discussion about all of the pending things we have with our water management plan and the implementation of our PFAS mitigation process. So Mr. Jameson had proposed advancing the money to get the wells online so that we could then reimburse him when we get the connection fees. So that was his proposal and trying to negotiate something. But again, nothing was decided on. We're going to wait till we get some more information and bring him back. Is he coming back next month?
It depends on when we get the information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I don't think any allocation will not be going forward until well 2 and 3 are back online. We resolve the PFAS issue. What we're going to do is a, water-wide issue.
Right.
As the decision for the planning commission to not approve any more allocations until these issues have been resolved. Just kind of, I think he was trying to negotiate his way through that. So. And looks like next meeting we have some discussion on parking in the town, and what were the other things we have coming up?
So we'll probably have the renderings on the Cultural Arts District, and then we'll have some, depending on when we get information, the allocation plan was something that was discussed last time and might be discussed in the future.
Okay. And that's it for me.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's not legal for them to forward that money, I would assume, if that was something that we would ever even entertain.
When you look at the legalities of having a connection fee, which is really an impact tax, that is supposed to go towards the ability to bring new residents into town and pay for whatever utility or whatever need they have, not to repair existing facilities that are in place already for other residents.
Right, okay, that makes sense. Very good. That's I watched that this afternoon, the meeting. It was an interesting meeting, so good leadership, everybody. Good job. Thank you. I urge anybody that's listening or watching to go and watch the last planning commission meeting if you're worried about development in Poolesville. It's a good watch. So thank you for that. Appreciate that, Brian and Alan. All right, down on this end, are we ready to roll?
Sure.
Okay, it's Sarah now. Thank you.
So we had our Fair Access Committee meeting on February 13th, last week. We sent out a muster email. Just as a reminder for everyone, we are going through the county's budget process, and there is a really tight race for getting things funded. They're just like the state, the county is also struggling to find the funds to fund all the things that people need. And to ensure that Poolesville's needs don't get delayed, again, we want to make sure that everybody in the community sends a message to our county representatives about how important it is for us to get the funding for our community center and the cover for our pool, the pool bubble. As a town, the town of Poolesville has already put a lot of skin into the game. We have donated land for the site for the community center. We have funds that we're ready to contribute, and we've done a lot of research on the pool bubble. So we are essentially trying to gather everything together and hand it to the county on a silver platter and make it as easy as possible for them to move forward on this. But if you haven't sent a letter yet, please send a letter to our county representatives. That same day, earlier in the day, we actually had our county council president, Kate Stewart, come out and have a tour of Poolesville. She met with WUMCO, with Poolesville seniors. We focused a lot on transportation and some of the challenges that we have with transportation being so far away from other places. She met with a small business owner, was very receptive. Those types of meetings are all about developing a relationship and making sure that our representatives are actually visually aware of the challenges that we face. And I think driving around to some of the rural areas was a powerful live experience for Representative Stewart. We also found out, for those of you who aren't aware, in one of our historically black communities, Jerusalem, that community out there funded a Rosenwald school, which is a really, I don't know, historically famous type of school. And it took a lot of work for the community to raise those funds. And right now, that building is actually being used as storage for the county. And so as a town, we have been trying to raise the funds to, as a first step, at least have a sign outside of that building that marks the significance of the building. So we've had the language approved for it, and the executive's office, the county executive's office, is now working to actually get it created. They're identifying a manufacturer for that. So we're moving forward with that. And then finally, at our meeting last Thursday, we had a presentation from the Montgomery County Hospital Collaborative. They conduct a survey every 3 years, a community health surveillance survey. And again, Poolesville and the surrounding regions have often been underrepresented in these kinds of surveys. So I want to encourage everybody, you can go to the town website and there's a link there. If you haven't taken the survey yet, please do. It's meant for people 18 or older. So anybody who's 18 or older, please go and take the survey so that Poolesville and our surrounding area is well represented. Based on the results of that survey, they'll then do like focus study groups, and it helps to determine where resources are allocated in our county. So we need to demonstrate our need. So please fill out the survey. That's it.
Thanks, Sarah. Good stuff. Appreciate that. Ed?
Okay, in terms of announcements, well, congratulations to the Poolesville High School boys basketball team. They did win their game. I apologize, I came in almost late.
You can be late
watching
for
the
that.
game, but they did win. That win puts them as the champions for their division. And so it's always, and just to, we'll give it up to the boys basketball. And just a quick shout out for them, playing home games when you're not at home brings its own unique challenges. And so they did a great job. Other announcements, coming up this Saturday at 1 o'clock from 1 to 2, we'll have a Black History Month celebration. And so we'll have a panelist of Skip Etheridge, we'll have Pastor Chuck Copeland, and we'll have Troy Gardner. Troy Gardner works over at the school. He's also from the community. And then Link will be our moderator for the panel discussion. And the theme is looking at the contributions that Black Americans have made to Western Upper Montgomery County. And so that's going to be a great event. I'd like to welcome all of you, invite you all to come out from 1 to 2 o'clock. Other announcements, want to thank Wade.
Here.
That'll be here, thank you. That will be here at Town Center. So that will be Saturday from 1 to 2, and I believe we'll be able to broadcast
Yep,
now.
it'll be on the town YouTube page as well, so we'll get that posted in a little
right.
bit, so you can find the link.
Which is a good thing. And then other announcements, want to thank Wade and Jim for your collaboration. About 2 weeks ago, there was the Poolesville Area Chamber of Commerce dinner, and we had a lot of different officials that were there, one of them being April Delaney. And so I spent some time to talk to Susan Kennedy, who is one of her advisors, about the delay in our streetscape money. And so I told her I'd follow up. We texted each other, and so there was some follow-up. And then working with Wade and Jim, I crafted a message that I sent out to her. And so then I would do like my good friend Hobbs over there, be like a dog with a bone, and I will continue to press her and press her. She said she would help, so I'm going to take her up on that. So hopefully our collaborative work of pressing to get this thing released so we can move forward, that's what we're doing right now behind the scenes. But I wanted to point that out because some might say, well, why would we, as a commission, agree to fund some of the guests to come to a Poolesville Area Chamber of Commerce event, but sometimes it's at those events behind the scenes where work is done. So we're always working behind the scenes to try to make things happen for the whole town. So that's an example. Hopefully it will pay off. In terms of the Sustainable Poolesville, we meet next Wednesday. And so right now there's nothing to report on Sustainable Poolesville. All right, that's it.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks, everybody. I'll keep my stuff relatively short. Appreciate everybody doing, I love how we work as a team. We all tackle our individual, but we all know what's going on, and we participate when we can, and I think it's great, including town staff, of course, and our friends, our co-committee down with Fair Access. White's Ferry update, I mean, that sounds like a broken record, but we're always stirring the pot. Period. We're always trying to get some sort of resolve and some sort of action on it. The most recent, we've had, Link and I both have, we sent a letter off to Chris Conklin from Montgomery DOT, and we made some proposals. Again, we're not short on ideas, but we are short on actual money for town of Poolesville to contribute, but we want the county to do their share, the state to do their share. There seemed to be some sort of a structure of a possible agreement that people are talking about. But, you know, we've heard that one before. Again, I say as soon as we see the boat going across the river, we'll know it actually happened. But it is and then we counter-proposed something that we thought might be interesting to them that we don't think they've gone there yet before on it. So with any luck, we've stirred the pot again. We also had a conversation today, Link and I did, with Lieutenant Governor Runa Miller's office, and had a further conversation with them about some angles that we could look at from a legal perspective. And they were receptive, but again, we've been saying the same thing for 4 years. So, but let it be known to all of our people, we're not giving up, and we're going to keep having those conversations, and we'll keep trying to push the ball forward. And it said too, we are waiting to, we've got open engagement with the county's Department of Transportation, and this is a re-engagement with the governor's office to try and get some action to take place on it. We've had some recent conversations with Bob Sissel about a solar energy bill that's been proposed in Annapolis, and we've had some great conversation with them, but there's significant pushback from the farming community on this bill. It would really allow solar to take place in many places in the ag reserve with little restrictions. And as you can imagine, the farmers aren't super happy about that. It would increase development pressure, et cetera. So being that we're not technically in the ag reserve, we're surrounded by it, but we do pay attention to it because these are our partners in other endeavors that we do from a town perspective. So we're there to support, and we may not always agree on every single thing that the farm community is doing or that the people that are working with them, but we always keep open engagement with them, and it's important. They surround us, so that's a big deal. Our visit with Kate Stewart was awesome. We spent a great, the WUMCO toured them, let them see exactly why we need support in this up county area. We got a chance to go down to the Sweet Lemon and spend some money. That's always good. And not the town's money. Kate Stewart did it. Well, maybe that's the taxpayers' money in the, way down the line. But we had a great visit with Kate Stewart. And it's, there was a time, guys, when the county executive or the president of the county council would never consider coming here. We went years and years and years without them coming here. Now we're a must-stop. And just like we were, kudos again, and I know part of the chamber is going to be here in a little bit, but kudos to the chamber and everybody that's involved, Link, Fair Access, our committee, to get those elected officials to come to the Chamber of Commerce. So again, now, I think we've talked about this on text a little bit, but we've got another event that brings elected officials to our town so that we can advocate with them for the things that we deserve and the things that we have not been getting for decades. So it was a great meeting. I know you guys had a good time at the chamber. Sorry that I was in Key West when that was happening, but it was 80 degrees and sunny, if it makes anybody feel any better. So it was I had a lot of fun down there. It was great hearing about what you guys did, though. Good work, team. Good work. Back to the pool bubble. So we recently just got we're openly engaged in the budget conversations with the state about funding some aspect of the pool bubble. And I'm not going to sit here with this meeting full of people and go on and on about all the great benefits that the pool bubble could bring, but needless to say, they are numerous, and they were especially important for a community like ours. So we're going to, we just reached another weird stage of engagement. While as they're involved in budget discussions in Annapolis, they've hit us up to create and to fill out in more detail another fact sheet that kind of really zones in on what we need in terms of the monetary obligation to build the pool bubble. The state would be involved, we want, from a capital expense. They would be the ones that would help convert the pool itself, not be operational, but to do all the hard labor, the bricks and mortar aspect of building the pool bubble. And we've got great engagement with them. We've got to keep our fingers crossed. We've heard from everybody, this is a terrible budget year. Sarah, thanks for sending the note from our comptroller today to help provide a little clarity. If anybody reads anything I write on Facebook, I'm still not satisfied with how we went from $1 billion surplus to a $3 billion deficit. 5% of our budget is in deficit. That's sad, and we need more explanation, but that was a good starting point, and that'll probably let my fingers do the walking later on another.
Yeah, explore some of those reports.
Right, I'm going to. But needless to say, you guys have to know, it's not really our job. We're, volunteers, and we're all elected, we get that. But we're out there fighting for our taxes and our tax structure every single day, both within the town, which we can control, the county, and the state. And our job is to make sure that first of all, we would love to limit tax increases, and we're going to have our own budget work session here coming up in March, so we're going to talk about our town's budget. But we know it's a bad year for the county and a terrible year for the state. Again, it's hard to explain how we went from a $1 billion surplus to a $3 billion deficit, but we're going to get to the bottom of it, and the deal is to try and limit the impact of it on Montgomery County citizens, and particularly our citizens here, because that's the only part that we can handle. So we're going to try and do it to make sure that if there is a tax increase, that it's equitable. The most recent budget numbers, this is all being negotiated right now, there is significant impact on the middle class of Marylanders, and particularly Montgomery County, which is loaded with middle class and upper middle class. The budget impact, as it stands right now, unless it gets beaten down and the numbers get moved around, is going to be significant. So we're out there staying in tune with our state representatives, our delegates, our senator, and all the way down the line to the governor's office. And we're going to continue to try and trying to see what we can do to lessen the burden for all of our residents. That being said, nothing's cheaper these days. We'll talk about it in a little bit because they're going to be here shortly, but the Chamber of Commerce said they did a heck of a job, and you guys did a heck of a job, so we'll be issuing our thanks for them. They really stood up. And our District 15 delegation, back to the state version, they are engaged as I've ever seen them for what we're doing right now, what we are doing in Poolesville, and what the needs and wants are of our residents. That being said, you can get a hold of these, all of our elected officials. They're very accessible, especially on the state level. Our D15 delegation, which is our 3 delegates that we have, and plus Senator Brian Feldman. So I urge, if anybody here is listening or watching, or you're in the audience and you need to engage with those guys, send us something, and then we will direct connect you, and you will get a response from those guys. They've been great that way. So that's it for me. Thanks for everybody for listening for the update from the President's chair. All right, public comment time. So we've got 3 people signed up for this. Now, we can move forward with whoever, and we have one online still? We haven't outlasted them?
Yeah, no, we don't have them online at the moment, so I'll keep an eye on that.
So what we have, we have an agenda that's going to, that as you could, we see it right here. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but we'll be talking about various things through the meeting time tonight. If you want to talk about a subject that is on the agenda, then you can hang back and wait till that subject gets there, or if you have something in general that you would like to speak about during our public comment period, we could do it now.
Do they have copies of the agenda?
There's copies in the very back table back there.
I can read them off to you too. I'll let you know what we're doing. We have a Poolesville Pride grant request. We have a fee schedule, which I bet none of you guys are going to comment on. We have a no parking zone on Wooten Avenue. Is anybody going to be talking about that? No, nobody wants to park on Wooten Avenue? Okay. We have electronic sign displays, and that's where we're going to be talking about what are the displays that we put out on our electronic sign, which, by the way, the Black History Month one looks great. I'm not sure where you stole it from, but it looks really good. And then, what was that? I'm sorry, borrowed. Yeah, borrowed. Niles.
You designed that one, actually.
You designed it?
Not, I didn't, but we worked.
Your
on it.
team, the team did,
Yes.
right?
Sure, right.
Good work.
Okay. And then we're also going to be talking about our water rates. So those are the items that we have coming up. Pride grant request, our fee schedule, the no parking zone, electronic sign displays, and our water rates. So is everybody that wants to testify, our three testifiers, are you here for, I'm going to guess, for the Pride grant request? Okay, good. We're going to do a presentation, and then we'll let you guys give testimony. Is anybody here for public comment on anything else besides the Pride display? And, I'm sorry, grant? Nobody? Okay, good. All right, and then are we supposed to call the person back that's coming up online, or what are we
He
doing?
hasn't- No, he's not come on at all yet. So that's why I'm saying if you.
Give a long enough report, they drop off.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No, they never got on, so I'm just checking just to make sure they are.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you for
We're
that.
good.
Okay, great. So we'll be on the Poolesville Pride grant request in just a minute, and then you guys can come up and testify. Next up is approval of the minutes, and we had a meeting on February 3rd. All of us were here, yes? Okay, good. And so then we need a motion for approval and a second.
I motion to approve the minutes from our meeting on February 3rd.
A second motion.
Motion made by Sarah for approval of the minutes of February 3rd, 2025. Ed has seconded. Anybody have any questions, changes, abridgments, commentary? Nope. All in favor of approving the minutes of February 3rd, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nobody? Okay, good. All right, Poolesville Pride grant request. Staff, if you want to set it up for us, and then we'll move on to the next aspect of it.
The grant request is before us today. Sam Cooper was the applicant, and we won't be making a decision tonight, but it'll be part of our budget discussions that we have on March 22nd.
Great, okay.
You want to come on up?
So anybody that wants to provide testimony, the grant request has been submitted.
He's not, okay. So who-
Yeah, we have the grant request been submitted. As Wade just said, we actually have our budget meeting. It's a Saturday work session. The public is actually allowed to attend. But as part of our process for considering grant requests, we ask for different groups to come in, and they're welcome to testify why the grant's needed. We actually have it in writing, so you've fulfilled all the requirements for the grant request itself, but we'd love to have the public testimony on it. And we have 3 people signed up, but we can take others as soon as you're ready. Kelly, only because you were the first
Well, I was
one
going to
up.
say, why
Yep.
don't you start with, I know Sabrina and Jonathan are here as representatives of Poolesville Pride, so.
Okay, great. Yeah, then,
Since Sam is not.
no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't
Them
see Sam,
start,
so I didn't
and
know what was
then-
happening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys, come on up, take the seats, introduce yourself, give us your address, and then we'll take it from there. And thank you, Sarah, for keeping an eye on me.
Just pull up an extra chair.
Grab another chair.
Good seeing everybody again.
You can pull it up. Just pull it up. May you all make room for each other.
Like it, we're ready.
Well, first I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sabrina Sanchez. I am the VP of the Poolesville Pride Committee, and with me we have
I'm Jonathan Adamson. Yeah, you're dead.
Good seeing
our
you guys.
representatives.
Yep, thank you.
So I'd just like to open by saying, on behalf of the Poolesville Pride Club, we would love to extend our gratitude and thanks for the town of Poolesville for your support in our endeavors over the last couple of years. We just want to recognize the community grants from 2023 and 2024 that helped get the word out about our initiatives and all of the events that we've been doing over the last couple of years. And that also includes the commemorative flag policy, which is also showing some support for us, which we appreciate. So the purpose of our report today, we'd like to introduce some key events and activities from 2023 and 2024. We do have a submitted written report that I believe you guys already have, that Sarah written up. I also have a physical copy here if anybody would like to take a look at it as well. So just to start out,
Everybody has, all the commissioners should have it printed.
We do. Yep, thank you.
So to start out the activity and expenditure overview, I'm just going to go over the highlights. We obviously have an itemized list of all of our expenditures and stuff, but I'm just going to go over the summary of everything. Or I'm going to start the summary rather, excuse me. So in September 2023, we had Poolesville Day. We had our 12 participants in the Poolesville Pride Parade, as part of the Poolesville Pride, excuse me. And some of our expenditures for that event included our large banner, but we were also provided some community support. Yes, Sarah has some pictures of them.
Figure all you in the audience, you know, get to see what we see. We should have put it on slides.
But we were also provided some community support through donations of some small and large flags as well for that, which we greatly appreciate. In October of 2023, we had the WUMCO Scarecrow competition, in which 5 participants collaborated to create a first-place scarecrow, and that awarded us, yes, our lovely scarecrow right there. And that awarded us a half-page ad for Pride Fest in the Monocacy Monocle, and that really helped get the word out about that for 2024. And then in November of 2023, we had our post-Halloween party, which was basically just a social gathering with a small group of us, about 15 participants at a private residence, which Sarah also was supporting, which, thank you. And Jonathan, would you like to?
Yeah, I can carry on. So from March through May of 2024, our focus was engagement with the Queer Student Union and launching or starting the preparations for the Pride Month initiatives. We had a meeting with the Queer Student Union at Poolesville High School. The purpose was to understand their lived experiences and priorities, and to gauge their perspective on visibility of pride flags in town. We had additional meetings with the student union, 3 meetings throughout 2023 and 2024 that focused on discussions about Pride Fest and Pride Month. Then in May of 2024, we set up the Taste of Riverworks booth with the goal of boosting community engagement and visibility. Then in June of 2024, our highlights were town engagement and Pride Fest. So we had the Town Pride Month proclamation and testimony right here at Town Hall. 15 local queer residents, including ourselves, gathered here to share our testimonies. Then later in the month, we had Pride Fest at Locals, where we celebrated Pride Month with participation from county and state representatives, local nonprofit leaders. We had 13 featured artists and vendors and sponsorships from Riverworks. And we believe that we attracted an estimated 1,500 residents. It was a really, truly great day. In September of 2024, we had our second Poolesville Day participation, where 12 participants handed out hundreds of stickers, flags, and informational materials. In December of 2024, we put together a Pride Basket for WUMCO and received collaborative donations from 8 local queer artists and creators. Then in January and February of this year, 2025, we started our first Friday meetups at Locals, and it's been sort of a nod to ongoing community engagement and social support initiatives.
Yeah, so we, for a little small crew, we've been pretty busy, and we, again, couldn't have done that without the support of the town. And I just wanted to sort of share some of the comments we got from members of the town who did come to these events. One person said, "Oh, so happy that this happened in our little town," and I think that's been echoed over and over, like people just being so happy to see us and pleasantly surprised, I think. And another comment, as a community, we continue to make steps that help everyone feel seen, heard, and understood. Another person said, "I hope this becomes an annual event. We loved it so much." And just another comment that were in conversation with one of the Latina artists there, and she was commenting to us about what the pride flag meant to her. I know we had talked about that earlier in the month, but she was just mentioning, in places where maybe she doesn't see herself reflected in the people around her, when she sees a pride flag, she knows like that for her is a symbol of like, oh, this is a place that is going to be welcoming, people who are accepting of differences, that sort of people who maybe have had experiences of feeling other. And so it's a place that she feels like she can come and she knows that she'll be able to participate and feel welcome. So I thought that was like a nice, just a nice comment from another member of our community who might be less represented. And, you know, while all of this has been really received, we feel really well by the community. You know, it exists in a larger ecosystem of support for our community. And right now, there's cracks in that, in the broader ecosystem. And so the thing I wanted to add, I'm a therapist, and a lot of my clients are part of the LGBT community. And so I see a lot firsthand the impacts on mental health right now. And so I just wanted to give some examples of what our community is very tuned into. You may or may not be aware of some of the things that they're grappling with on the larger landscape. But you may have noticed at least a shift in national vibes when it comes to just how people are talking about, thinking about LGBT people in our community. And what it really comes down to, I mean, oftentimes during times of crisis, uncertainty, social stress, we turn to scapegoating, right? And so who are the most vulnerable? Who we can sort of target as a place to put that uncertainty and blame, and that gives the society a sense of order. We have an answer for, who's at fault for this uncertainty and stress we're experiencing. Well, our community has been one that's targeted, especially our transgender folks. And so it's really created, and again, we exist like everybody else in that same social stress, right? We also see the high price of eggs, and we're dealing with the same stressors as everybody else. But on top of that, there's this real shift in either censorship, so pulling health language from government websites that support our community, or the Kennedy Center. I don't know if you've heard the programming there is being censored, funding's being pulled for anything that might suggest, support or acceptance of our community. This is having a chilling effect on support beyond just government. Corporations, healthcare systems are switching their policies and taking language down from their websites. It's a new risk calculation for everybody, and if it's not good for them, now suddenly, they're starting to make changes what's good for them. Well, our community doesn't have that ability. For us, it's our livelihood, it's our lives on the line. We can't just change, who we are. And so it's really creating, it's creating barriers to care, healthcare. It's creating insecurity in job, employment protections, safety, travel. Even we have friends here who have been here in this room who are having trouble getting passports, and it's really having direct effects on our community. And it's emboldening opposition. So, you have states, at least one state already looking to try to challenge marriage equality at the Supreme Court, wanting that to go back to the states. If that happens, more than half the country will not have protections for marriage. So, a phrase that I've heard directly from people I work with is, I feel like there's a target on my back. And this is, again, in addition to just the normal stressors that we all have, losses in the family, financial stress, whatever is going on. And so the question is, is my state, is my agency, is my management, is my community going to stand with me? And there's a lot of fear there. And so I just want to appeal again for your continued support. It's more important than ever. And I was hoping I could just leave you with two things, I mean, a poem and a quote you're probably all familiar with, but I think that is prescient now. With the first poem, it's First They Came by German theologian and Lutheran pastor Martin Niemöller. And it's, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And we can switch out those identity markers with, the ones that are important for us today and what we're seeing. And then, the final quote is Martin Luther King Jr. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And we know we have a lot of friends here in our community. And we're just asking for your continued support during this period of strain and stress for our community. And then I'll turn it back over to the VP.
Thank you. I guess I'll just close it out by reiterating our gratitude towards the town and everyone that has supported us over the last couple of years. It's really important, just every single person. You may feel that you have a small voice in a crowd of many, but every single person, just one person in a crowd of 100, such as the famous Lady Gaga quote goes, that's sometimes all you need to feel accepted and like you have someone that has your back and you have support to keep going on. And that's really what we want to bring to the community, and we want to show that to everyone, whether you're new to the community, if you're coming in, or if you're born and raised here. We just want everybody to know that they're accepted here. And that's really our goal ultimately, is to make sure people understand that Poolesville is a welcoming place. And then I'd just like to invite anyone for any questions or share their own insight amongst the commissioners about Poolesville Pride and such.
Anybody who's down the line? Sarah, you want to kick us off?
I mean, I have so much to say.
That's why I went there first.
First of all, I just want to, no, I'm not going to talk for very long, but I just want to say thank you, all three of you, for sharing your experiences and for stepping forward. I know that being involved in local government is something that I didn't even experience until my 40s. So applauds and congratulations to all of you who are in your youth still and are stepping forward and speaking up. And there is so much, Jonathan, like you referred to, that we don't have control over in the broader sphere of the world in which we exist. And this little space here, this community, this is a place where we do have some control. And so what I want is exactly what Sabrina said. I just want to make sure that in Poolesville, there's not a single person that feels like they don't belong and they're not valued. And I think that's the least that we can do. And I think that is amongst our responsibilities as commissioners, not just to decide how our tax money is spent or to, help do pretty much nothing but cheer on our amazing staff who know how to run the whole town on their own, but to actually figure out what our community needs to feel safe and loved and be there to help make sure that happens. So.
Agreed. Ed, anything?
Sure. And so I'm going to echo what Sarah said. I want to compliment all of you for coming out and being supportive of one another. And for those who, and you might have heard me say this before, there are many people who stand out in the shadows, afraid to step forward, not sure how they'll be received. And it is important for everyone to have a safe space where they can be welcomed, they can be respected without fear of being who they are. And so I think it's really important. I think we as commissioners, we also have a responsibility to help pitch in and be architects of a welcoming community, regardless of one's racial religious or any of the other things that separate people, where instead is if we can create this welcoming environment, this community, and truly put the charm in a small town charm, then we can do something that's pretty amazing. When I think about Poolesville, I think about a place that can be an example of small towns throughout the country. And if we can get it right here, then others can see that they can get it right also. But it definitely takes people stepping out of their comfort zone, both those who might have heard stereotypes and misperceptions, and those who actually know the truth, those who understand people. And I think one of the greatest responsibilities we have as people is to be kind and loving to other people. And so just commend you all for what you're doing. I'll throw this last piece in. Outside of doing commissioner work, I also work in mental health. I've been doing that in schools for almost 30 years. And so I've worked firsthand with folks who have dealt with some of the challenges. I've worked firsthand with those who've been suicidal. I've worked firsthand with those with families whose children have committed suicide. And I believe when we can once again create spaces and places where people can feel the love and be accepted without being judged, maybe we can cut down on some of the harm that comes from other people who choose not to be kind and loving.
Amen. Brian?
Not a whole lot left to be said, I don't think. I mean, you guys are steal the thunder, right, I guess? But for those that don't know me, I'm very, I've been a Poolesville resident a long time. I'm very supportive of our community. And our community is made up of a lot of different small communities, right? Everybody has little different communities they belong to, but that really makes up what Poolesville is. And you are definitely part of our community. So I don't really know how else to say that, but that's kind of how I feel.
Thank you.
Look, I appreciate you guys coming out and, advocating for your beliefs and your rights. We sat up here earlier today and talked about advocating for Poolesville. You advocate for yours, we advocate for you. Like Brian said, we're a community. We're going to support you guys however we can. You follow the process. I mean, this is what makes Poolesville, Poolesville. And to accept everybody for what they are and to advocate for it, I mean, my full support. I mean, it's what love's about, right? Love everybody, so I'm good with that. And that's my statement.
You're sticking to it.
I am.
Thank you for that. I'm not going to keep everybody longer. I actually am the person that asked, I have all the compliments and all of the beliefs that my group here has. And I stand behind them, and I stand behind you, and I hope everybody in this community knows that over the years. Full support. Thank you for doing the hard work, and thank you for putting it out there. We know it's not easy. And we'll always recognize that, and you get special, dispensation from us for getting out there and pushing it and becoming something that's more visible to the community and always been important, but becoming more visible, and we're here to help. So we appreciate that. I did, here's the bad side of it now. So in the end, we got the grant application. I'll get to the nuts and bolts. We are the stewards of the taxpayers' money. We will be considering the grant application when we go through our budget work session. We actually, we build the budget. It's like putting a puzzle together. It comes together over a couple of months of discussions and proposals and submissions, et cetera. No matter what we do, and I know we're going to do something good, you can't take what we do money-wise to have any reflection on what we think about you as people and as a group and as citizens. And so, as Alan said, we all come together. And Poolesville, and I think Ed or Sarah said it, we set an example for other municipalities. We have a really, really special thing here in Poolesville that allows people to come together and potentially feel safe and feel like that if the outside world's crappy, and we know it's crappy right now, is that you still have a safe space here. And we'll be here to support that. And I know that I can speak for any of my fellow commissioners, town staff, et cetera. But, it's a special thing we have, and we treasure it by working with our, all of our residents and our citizens to make sure that they feel welcome and inclusive and that we see you. So we appreciate the presentation and coming up. I did have a question for you, and you don't have to answer it right now, and it's probably more of a Sam thing. But we usually ask our grant applicants to give us a little bit more of a picture of like, how do you fundraise? What is your overall budget, and how are our taxpayers contributing to that budget? You have a month. If you can get us some numbers that are a little more defined beyond what you've asked for, it actually makes it easier to make the case for the groups that are both fundraising, which I know is not easy to do, but then how does fundraising fit into the overall request and your overall budget needs? So you have time. If you can get that to us, we'd appreciate it. It doesn't change your request, and we're not asking you to do that. It just gives us a better picture. I mean, who knows? It may set you up for more money sometime in the future too. So help us paint that picture for all of us as we put the numbers together. Go ahead.
And does that, I mean, can we also submit in-kind donations? A lot of the contributions we have are.
Yeah, in kind. Sure, of course. Yeah, definitely. They're valuable. So no question about that. And it may have very little factor when we try to consider what we're doing with as being the shepherds of the taxpayers' money. But it is something that helps us. If all of us, believe it or not, get asked questions about where the budget is and what's going on with taxes this year and what do we control. And, town staff and I spent an hour today with a resident talking about water and water rates and things like that. It's just the way it goes. We want to be there for everybody, but help us make the case. Sarah?
I was just, I was going to add to what you said with
Sure.
just a question of, in addition to financial support, how can we support you?
Good point.
And I would pose the same question to anybody who comes up and speaks afterwards, if you could also answer that question.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't.
You don't
have to
need it
answer
today.
right now. You could email us.
Yeah.
And what I was going, what I was going to add on too, I was reading through the package that you hear, the report, and I got to that last page about the expenditures, but I would be interested in looking at what would have been the past fundraising plans, and then what are the future fundraising plans, and then I would just offer an unsolicited suggestion, is really look at, I believe there are a lot of folks who support you, and if there are clear ways for them to make donations with the fundraising, because the amount that you're asking for, dollar amount, that's not a lot of money, right? And I think about just organizations I've been a part of who just focused on fundraising without asking anyone for anybody that's looking at fundraising. And with the right fundraising strategies, you could probably surpass what you have there, what you have here in terms of your requests and what you spent. So it might be advantageous to really look at, in your organization, do you have someone that's going to take the lead on fundraising and plan out your monthly fundraising, have your fundraising goals, and then have your different things that you do for fundraising, and you might wind up having more funds than you anticipated that would meet the needs that you've shared here. And that's the question I'll ask any organization. If you're a sports organization coming in, say, hey, this is what we want to do, I would ask you the same question. I coach girls basketball, and we have events, and so we also look at, hey, how can we fundraise? So that's just something to think about. What is it that you're going to do toward the fundraising? And then, as Jim was saying, before we meet, it'd be great to say, hey, by the way, here's the things, these are our fundraising plans. This is what we call putting some skin in the game.
And you guys can look at, say, there's our Poolesville Seniors organization started from nothing, from scratch, and if you wanted to reach out to some of the representatives, you could run parallel fundraising ventures, et cetera. There's money to be had out there, and we know that I know that you do get donations and you do have in-kind contributions. So it's more just about information for us to help us make the case, because we will. We've got residents to go line by line on that budget, and we will be, all 5 of us, all 7 of us have to be able to explain it line by line. So if we can say that the Poolesville Pride Group has first of all, they've risen from nothing to one of our most visible and important organizations, and we're happy to help, then you're going to be a participant in that as well. So that's all I have. Anybody else? No? What are you guys looking up at the screen for? Anything
We've got a caller coming in that wants to,
on this particular issue?
I'm going to admit him and then send a message. So you guys keep doing what.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's all I have for here. I'd like to get to the other people. Thank you, Sarah, for getting me straightened up on the order of things.
Real quick, do you guys have like an annual budget that you have, since '23 and '24? I mean, do you look for like fundraising and money's up to like 5,000? Is it,
Right, yeah, we haven't set up like an actual entity, we've just been operating as a club. Our budgets, we have created budgets for our events, but not like annual. This is our first year, so we've sort of been doing things throughout the year as we are able to.
Okay.
But I think that feedback is good, and just the push and encouragement to continue our development will definitely.
Well, be like every other business, have a budget of X amount of dollars and hope to get 30% of that.
Yep.
So just, have an idea and have a brainstorming session with your members and party, and come up with, what you think it would cost. So
All right, thank you.
more details is better, always. Thank you, guys.
Okay, gang, thank you very much for that. I do want to get to the people that have signed up. We have somebody that just came up online, but we go in order here. So Kelly, you're up next. Come on in, identify yourself, give us your address. Thank you, testifiers. Appreciate you.
Hi, I am Kelly Huding, on 19005 Shannon Way, and I've lived in town since 2004-ish. Yeah, I think that's about right. As a community member, at first I want to thank all of you for all that you do for this town, just listening to the first part of the meeting. But as a community member, I'm also a teacher, a parent, and an advocate for human rights. I was actually just thrilled last year to see that Poolesville had Pride Fest. I hadn't known it happened before that, so last year was the first time I was aware. I know that there are many different views about this in our town. I truly think it is of great importance in our community, and I sincerely thank locals for hosting and supporting this as well. To give you a little bit about my background, I was raised in a pretty racist household growing up. I never saw family members do anything like physical or verbal or anything to anyone in public, but things were different at home. Terrible words were used to refer to anyone that was different from my parents' standards. It could be about skin color, it could be about ethnicity or homophobic views. The word maggot was used frequently as verbal banter in my home throughout my childhood. All right, it wasn't the word maggot, but you get the idea of kind of where it came from. Yet out in public, you would never suspect this of my family, how they felt or acted at home. They put on this facade of acceptance, but it was not real. Kind of like a closet racism, if you will, which is still very prevalent in society today, unfortunately. I'm the youngest of 5, and to this day, my parents and my siblings would vehemently disagree if they were told by someone that they were racist or homophobic. No one wants to be labeled with these words, and it's really hard for people to believe them about themselves. As I got older, I was influenced by some wonderful adults, camp counselors, teachers, and they planted a seed in my mind. Instead of just going along with what my parents did and said, I started to think about what I truly thought was right and wrong. And I was encouraged to make up my own mind about things, and boy, did I start to question a lot of things from how I was raised. As a result, I was eventually drawn towards teaching, and there were some teachers that were just some of the best inspirations in my young life. So once I became a teacher, I was hoping to have a positive influence on kids like me in my own class, kids that were taught to hate at home. And as a kid, I had no idea. I was just, all right, we only had white people over. If you weren't like us, we just stayed away. There was almost like a fear. My heart breaks when I see students in my class and know that they're going to be treated unjustly, feel unworthy, or be hated simply because of their ethnicity, the color of their skin, or who they love. All right, so how has all this that I shared come to circle back to the community grant? The community grant for Poolesville Pride is so important that the sad reality is that lives are actually at stake. The Trevor Project reports that people who identify as LGBTQ+ are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. 41% of the LGBTQ+ community youth have seriously thought about suicide. The numbers for transgender or non-binary youth are even worse. Youth that live in a community that is accepting and supportive of LGBTQ+ community can cut the statistic in half. Let me say that again. It could be just having some pride flags flying in your town. Youth that live in a community that is accepting and supportive of the LGBTQ+ community can cut this in half. That alone should be a reason to continue, maybe increase this grant. The sad truth is just people are attacked in so many different ways because of their gender identity. I know I want to live in a town that would support and protect those that are most vulnerable among us. So I implore you to continue to support this grant, regardless of your own personal beliefs about this community, and I thank you for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Now do I get
Thank you.
fired back to work?
I mean, if you
I
want.
would ask us the same question. Can you think of, are there ways that we can support our community?
I think
or lead the way?
Visibility is important. I know when I walk downtown in Frederick and I see the pride flags, the people around me feel safe. I had a man of honor at my wedding, and boy, were my parents upset. But some that are very dear to me are from this community, and even as adults, I watch them suffer. And any kind of support and visibility of that support, because we could be at a point where it's that silence quote that I appreciate from the last group. Are you going to be silent because you're not part of that? And I don't have to support that. That's not me. But are you going to stand up for what's right?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And we, again, fundraising, purposeful fundraising to create advocacy for, and to do it throughout town. That's so important. And we can only lead on so many things. Providing funding is one of them. But there's other angles that have to be taken by the groups that carry the flag for us, literally. And so we hope that the Poolesville Pride Group will continue to grow and carry the flag and plant the flag in various places too. So, and we're hopeful for that. All right, anybody else for anything for Kelly? She's already stepped away. I know that about you. Okay, very good. So Caitlin, are you next? Caitlin, you signed up here. Come on in. And I can't, is it Hartings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Thank
Hardings.
you, Caitlin. Thank you,
Hello,
Caitlin.
my name's Caitlin. I'm not from Poolesville. I'm from Gaithersburg, and I go to Poolesville High School. I'm a senior there. And I am the president of the Queer Student Union. I've held this role since halfway through my sophomore year. And unfortunately, the other members of my club could not be here today. But I wanted to talk about the importance of the Poolesville Pride Club to the community at QSU and the importance of this town's support for the queer community and the continued support that they could have by providing grant funding. In Gaithersburg, I'm not very connected with the community there, and I feel like I have ties that are a lot stronger with this community. Poolesville is so special, at least compared to where I'm from. I don't know most of my neighbors. But when I'm here, being able to go to Poolesville Day and walk around in the community and meet people and have people come in and talk to me in school, people from the community, that's so special. And being able to be a part of that has been such a massive part of my high school experience because I wasn't going to have that in Gaithersburg. It's so much bigger, and I feel like people in general aren't as close. And when I first came into Poolesville, I had just come out. I was a little bit worried about how I was going to be perceived as a queer person. My parents are both from Ohio. They're both from small towns, and I don't think that I could say that those towns are very accepting. And so I was worried about that when I first came. But this community is so different from what I was originally worried about. And I think that Poolesville Pride is a fantastic example of that. We have worked together several times. Right before I went into my junior year, I had a discussion with different members of the community about how we could improve access to education for queer youth and like community building within queer youth in the Poolesville community. And since then, we've had a pretty close relationship. They've come in and talked to us many times. And we worked together on some elements of the Poolesville Pride Fest, and that was really great to be a part of. But working at the event was a completely different thing. While I was there, I just wanted to share a little anecdote about something that happened. While I was there, I was working at the arts and crafts booth, and I was painting rocks with some of the little kids that showed up. And what really stuck with me is this mother with a young son, probably about 4 or 5, came up to me and said, "I'm from out of state. I grew up here. And the fact that this town is doing this is so incredible. I come back and visit my mom a couple times a year. And growing up here, I wasn't accepted. So getting to see that this is what Poolesville is like now is so amazing." And then she just walked off with her son, the little rock that they'd painted. And I was like, wow. It's so amazing that in such a short period of time, we've been able to come so far. And I think that the Poolesville Pride Club is really helping with that and helping to connect this community and change people's opinions. Another example was when Poolesville Day was happening, me and a couple other members of QSU walked in that. And being able to like give out candy to kids, and they were like so delighted to get to see us. And I didn't grow up around a lot of people who identified as queer. And so, like, thinking back, like, if I was able to see that as a kid, like, the impact that would have, like, this club is doing so much for the young people of this community, just even their presence and showing up. And so any funding that you could give them would have a massive impact.
Great. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Questions for Caitlin, anybody? I do have one question, of course, because I always have to ask a question. Do you have a successor who's taking your place? You're graduating, right?
Yeah.
That's still the plan?
Yep.
Gonna take your talents to where you're gonna go to college?
I'm not sure yet. I'm still waiting on another 2 schools, but I know that I'm going to major in art history and minor in chemistry, and the hope is to get my master's in art conservation.
Awesome.
But the plan...
Yeah, now the first question.
The plan currently is to have Oz Boucher, who is our current secretary, take over as president of QSU. And then Vera, another member of the club, is going to take over as secretary, and we're still waiting on someone to step up as treasurer.
And how many active members are in that club? You can round number it if you want.
We generally have like 20 people who will show up to meetings
great.
every week.
Sure.
And then we get more for major events, or if we're doing we get a lot of people for Mario Kart Day and when we're doing arts and crafts.
Who can blame them,
Yeah.
right? And do you have a dedicated meeting space inside the high school? We've all toured the new high school.
Yes.
Is there a dedicated meeting space for you?
Yeah, so it's in our sponsors room. Mr. Fitz, he's the stat teacher.
I know who he is.
You know what room that is? I can't remember.
That's okay. It makes total sense that it would be your sponsor's room, so that's awesome. And I'm glad that, and they're going to continue as sponsor, I would imagine?
Yeah.
No reason why not, right? Got it. Well, I mean, that's exciting stuff. And I've always been, I didn't want to put more labor onto our Poolesville Pride group, but the interaction and, the way people work together and to build something stronger, very important. We will, of course, support that. And we know that, we are, I would like to think, an all-forgiving, all-loving community. We know there's some rough edges sometimes. We're not perfect, but we do appreciate, if people don't stand up, then there's no chance to gain. So you've done that. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for coming here and doing it, and for organizing the group. And anybody else?
Thank you. Thank you. That sounds right.
We just love seeing it. I love, one of the things that most impresses us about the high school is the dedicated spaces for all the different groups. And we think that's vitally important. We actually had input into the structure and the building of the high school. And that was something we felt was very important especially for this community. So, because we come from all over here, as you know, you do. And that's important that people have a chance to create their own groups and live within the bigger group. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for your advocacy. Continue to work with the Poolesville Pride Group and make sure your successors are lined up.
Okay. I was just going to add, you've been such a leader in that
Yeah.
community, and want to commend you for that, and just express my appreciation for all of that. You've done such a great job.
Thank you.
And you will be missed next year. And I hope that you stay in touch as a mentor
Yeah. I'll
for
come
those
back.
coming after you.
Please.
And I
Yeah.
and I also want to put to you the same question I did to everyone else. Is there a way that we can support you better as a community?
So currently, we're trying to organize people to come in and talk to the club at some point, and it takes a while to set up. But when we were talking about people that we would want to come in to talk to us, a lot of the interests were surrounding what is going on in the community and what the queer community in general, and what communities are doing for us and what we can do to help. So if any of you would be interested in at some point coming in to talk to the club about, what Poolesville as a town is doing for the queer community and how we can help out in those efforts, I think that we would be very interested in hearing your opinions.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll want to hear from you. So, yes, that's I'm sure that's where we can take this. So, okay, any other questions, you guys? No. Thank you
you.
today for your testimony. We appreciate it. All right, this time, since I didn't get your last name right, I'm going to put on my glasses. Oh, this is easy. Julie Sanchez, come on down.
And is there anyone else who didn't, that we kind of
Sign up.
moved
You're welcome to
this?
come in.
Okay, and then one more
Yeah.
after.
Thank you.
Two more.
Yep. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Julie Sanchez, and I live at 27017 Haller Avenue. I'm a neighbor of Sarah's, actually.
Share backyards.
We do. We do.
We chat by the back fence.
Yes. So just a few notes that I wanted to make. I support very much the Poolesville Pride organization, and ever since I heard that it existed, I thought it was a wonderful idea for our town, for our community. I'm we've been here, 30-plus years, I think. I have to think too far back when we actually moved here, but I'm really happy to see the positive shift in attitude of our town towards accepting LGBTQ+ residents here and students too, because I think that's so important that they feel safe and, in their own community. I also went to the Poolesville Pride event, and that was a lot of fun. It was very nice, and I think it's great that in addition to supporting their goals and their missions, the Poolesville Pride organization is also helping local businesses. They've had local vendors there that, were just selling their wares and their services, and then, of course, it was on locals' property, and that supported, the restaurant, and they have the, as was mentioned by the representative, the once a month, it's sort of like a sit and sip type of gathering there. You come and you can do whatever you want, have a little coffee or something. So I'm so glad they're helping support local businesses too. And then I think the last thing I wanted to say is that I think it's important that this community is seen and feels safe in our community. And I would, definitely say, please do support them as much as you can with their grant request. And that it's important that all these folks feel that they're safe, especially during a period when many of their rights are being threatened. So thank you very much.
Julie, very good. Any questions for Julie, anybody? Thank you for your testimony. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up. Yes. Any other members of the studio audience that, I know you, right there, you said, come on up. We'll get you in the back, too. That guy in the back, I know him.
And before everyone leaves, can I just gather out in the hallway and just take a picture of everybody who's here in support of Poolesville Pride? Thank you.
There, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kate Stedman. I am technically a resident of Dickerson, so a partner in the Ag Reserve, although I'm off of Bellsville Road down here, so about 21150.
One of our suburbs.
There we go. Since we are an unincorporated, municipality, I figured that I wanted to come express just how I've benefited just down the road, since we don't, have a town council and really any, organized activity there, and we're much smaller, of course. But I wanted to come and share, first of all, my thanks for you all supporting us this last year. I am a lesbian. My wife and I bought our house in fall of 2021. And I have to say, after living in DC for the previous 15 years, I was very nervous about coming to the area. But when we were looking around and kind of checking out, do we really want to do this? I have to say, I was beyond floored at how much we just felt like any other couple. And one thing that you develop if you are, you're queering out in public is a little bit of, kind of looking over your shoulder. And so I really kind of noticed, how people seem to react to us, and that impressed me so much. It made me feel more than comfortable moving here. And I have to say, the community itself, just like the folks who live in town, who own businesses, just are such great people. And I say that as someone who's born and raised in Kansas. So that's on the one hand, like that Midwestern niceness, and on the other hand, you can have a little bit of the cool, kind of checking you out, not so sure what we think of people who are different. And I'm someone who people don't always notice is different. And that is something that I benefit from. But out here in the last year, I have to say that I've felt a little bit of a change, and I've become a lot more looking over my shoulder again. And that's something that, has really kind of made my heart sink. We had trouble getting very excited for Pride this year, but something that raised our spirits so much was going to Poolesville Pride Day at Locals. I have to say, your money is well spent. They put on a fabulous like fabulous event. It was packed beyond belief. Just all of the decorations, the offerings, the activities. I mean, it was really top notch. So I think that's one thing to know, that it just showed the quality of, offerings in this town. I'm also an employee of a small business in this town, very part-time, one that, I probably spend a lot more of my my paycheck on than I would like to admit, but that's part of a lot of tours. And, I just find people to be so lovely. What would not be lovely is sending a message, and it's an implicit message if no funding is given, when funding has been given in the past. I'm not sure what the exact dollar amount is, but, it's kind of it's a message of like, okay, we're going to kind of cross this one off this year. I think we need your support more now than ever. I like to think of, as much as the outside world is crazy and, it can feel a bit like a tornado right now in the area. I'm also a former federal employee, so I really, get like the chaos. This town can really stand strong and just stay on the path that you all have been on. I've been to other amazing events in the community, and I've been really impressed by a lot of the, reckoning with the legacy in this area of racism. And, I've tried to honor that, and, looking into the history of our own land. I want to say that I love living here, and I don't want to feel like it's, going to kind of fall into this like brief, what I hope is a brief wave of some, sentiment against a lot of people like me. And I will say that it's great points about fundraising. I'd like to, offer to volunteer for the group if anyone needs some help putting together some of that. One thing to note is there is a huge business in town that very publicly came out against providing any funds or any support for Pride festivals, parades, anything related to LGBTQ activities, and that was Tractor Supply last June. I'll admit, I still shop there. I need things from there. It's an important business, but it's just, something to know that some funding opportunities that may be available to other groups maybe aren't here. But I think like we definitely, my personal experience is like the lion's share of support is in this community is, for, all kinds of people, but certainly I felt it. So I just wanted to say that I think this group is super important. I know it raised my spirits for months, and it's, I think, still my profile picture under the great giant rainbow balloon that I believe Ashley Elliott helped provide. So anyway, thank you all so much. Thanks for letting me.
That's awesome. Yes, that's awesome.
And be careful what you volunteer for.
And come into town anytime. We're glad you're here. Thank you. We're all the time. I love it. Perfect. Is there anybody else from the audience over there? Yeah, come on, man. Thank you so much for your time and testimony.
Good evening. My name is Shahram P., 20004 Hickman Way, and I'm actually the neighbor of Julie Sanchez. I think that's how many of you know me. I just wanted to say quickly, I'm sorry, we've been going a long time on this topic, but I think it's so important. One of my kind of things that I've really stressed from actually the first year that we moved in, which is I think just over 11 years ago now, at this very table, is that, my impression and my strong feeling now and experience now, having lived here these number of years, is that Poolesville, and some of you actually, like, Commissioner Bupp know very well, that Poolesville's development, right, is now, it physically is about infill and, different things like that. It's not about the big developments which have been in motion for quite some time. But it's the next major focus, right, is on what's the quality of life going to be like? What's the character and nature of the town that we want? And I just want to mention 3 quick people that have a connection to this topic in that context. And the first one is, last year we were at some county meetings, and we were making some points about about White's Ferry being closed and such. And as Commissioner Paxima and others were doing their magic, with our county officials and reps and state, I think a couple state reps were there as well. I was just off to the side. I was the plus one, waiting for, joint car ride home. And there was a guy who was, I don't know if he was a town commissioner, something like that, whatever the equivalent is in Frederick. And he was just chit-chatting, we were talking, and he said, I've got to talk to them. I'm like, he seemed like really insistent. I was like, what's going on? He said, everyone's talking about, there's just something special going on out in Poolesville. We've got to figure out how you guys have bottled lightning.
Good.
And he said, I'm telling my people here in Frederick that we've got to figure out what's going on down there and how they're doing that, because we are behind the game, And, okay, so that's one guy. And it wasn't necessarily on this particular set of topics, but hold that for a second. The next person was actually at the Pride Fest, and that was just amazing. It exceeded my expectations by so much in terms of, not only the size and number of people, but especially just the quality of it. And I talked to a couple there who came down from Hagerstown. Talked to another, couple. This is a quote-unquote straight couple, okay? They came down from Hagerstown. Talked to a number of other people like that who just said, we're so amazed when we heard that Poolesville is having a Pride Fest. We had to come and see. I mean, it was in a positive way, but we've got to come and see, what's happening at the Pride Fest in Poolesville, And they were pleasantly surprised to see that, and this is not casting aspersions to any other Pride, parades or festivals or whatever, but they said it was such an uplifting and positive and educational experience, and kind of hits at what some of the other comments were, that's, Poolesville, we do the Pride Fest our own way, and I think it's very much in character with the nature of our town. I think it really just captured that well. And then lastly, I want to tell you about a guy who, when I was doing some, manning the Poolesville Day booth there, a guy who came up who, had a particular very conservative, religious background. He was a little bit charged when he came up, and he said, can you tell me, what are you really about? What's your purpose? Do you have and he was a little bit confrontational in the beginning, but my point is that, when I was trying to get at okay, what's his thing, or, how could I, be of benefit somehow to provide him information about what we're doing, what it came down to is he was really upset about a number of different pride, parades and things like that, where in his estimation, things just crossed the line and people were being too, quote unquote, promiscuous and things like that. And I said, look, first of all, I don't speak officially. I'm a volunteer here. You should talk to the people who are in charge of the club itself. But I said, I can assure you that our purpose here is not to force views on anyone or whatever. But I was able to help him see that it's more about, being seen. It's about being understood and being accepted, not just as a secondary citizen, but as a regular citizen. Okay, and my point in bringing that up is that he came away, he didn't necessarily accept alternative lifestyles himself, stepping away from that, but he came away with a better understanding that we can actually have a forum and a place where we can address these things and preconceived notions about what it means to have a flag up, or what it means to have a table like that, or whatever it is. And I'd like to think that all you have done already and all we can continue to do is a really important part of making Poolesville special, about making it the place that we want to be, a place that's safe, a place that we can stand up and amidst everything that's going on around us, that we can just be very clear and definitive. And that includes speaking to those in our community who might question why these resources are going to X, Y, or Z at this time. It's because we really think that everybody needs to be seen and understood, and it's part of that. It's not just checking a list off, but it's actually part of making our community a better and a great community and continuing that process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed. Yeah, totally agreed. Thanks, Ron. Thank you for that. Sarah, does anybody else have any other testimony? Nope. Okay, so that is going to conclude this part of the grant application process for tonight. Sarah wants to take everybody out to have a picture, if that's good for you guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming today, and you know we're accessible.
We're getting a picture?
Okay, do this. While we're out. Okay. I'm thinking. Give it a minute. Is he ready to go?
I think so. I'm going to message
Did
him.
he want to talk about the same topic?
He did.
I do not know for certain, but there is a chance.
This is why we're in the delay mode, so he can present to an empty house.
I'm just going to say.
You send
Is there anybody else online that, or on the phone that wanted to come in?
Yeah, Bob Roy.
Anybody else? No? That's it?
Okay, he's on now.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, thank you for coming in. I know you probably want to give testimony on some part of the grant process. That you're in the public comment portion of the meeting. Feel free to go ahead, tell us who you are and what are you thinking?
Oh, I got two questions for you all.
Hang on for a minute.
Just 1 second. All right. Can you go ahead and speak for a second, Bob?
Hello.
Yep, there we go.
There you go. Thank you.
Are you going to blast my ears out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob. You're on. We can hear you.
Okay, Bob Roy, 17301 Dowden Way. I've got two questions. One is relative to the proposed no parking on Wood. What is the rationale for that?
Do you want me to just, it's about the parking. So the parking is in relation, we've had sort of two issues that have come up in this area. One is the stacking of cars there during the morning and afternoon school rush. So we've had issues there. So we want to keep that open to traffic and have pedestrian issues there of people trying to come to and from the elementary school. And then the other issue.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that. Because I travel up and down Wood during the day and I don't run into a problem. So, but if that's your rationale, I can see it.
Yeah.
The other is, if somebody is parked there, how do you plan to enforce the no parking?
Certainly. So that falls under our code enforcement obligations. So we have a code enforcement officer who can go in, who can sticker vehicles, and then it gets to the county enforcement. So it's a two-part process. But we've had to, even in this area, already have had issues of a car being parked there for an extended period of time and not being moved, and it had to be towed.
Oh, I know that. I complained about that. But the thing being is, so the code enforcement, but it's just like prior to the snowstorm, you put out the word again that no, there's no parking on the street, but there are cars parked on the street, and I'm just curious,
Right.
what's the enforcement? We've got all these regulations, but no enforcement. So what's the sense of even putting it up?
We do enforce it, Bob. This is Wade. Yeah, we do enforce it. We write tickets for several things all the time.
Well, okay. I'll let that lie. I got one question for Wade on that signboards. He's got veterans and first responders grouped, and is there any rationale for that grouping?
Oh, they're just identified for that same month. They are two different groups, so it was just grouped together in the same month. They're both celebrated for the month. That was the only correlation.
Well, I just seem to think that each group should have its own.
Oh, it will.
Rather than be lumped together.
It will have its own flag, yes. Yeah, we just didn't want to leave a group out.
Well, I know, but it's the fact that the two are grouped in one, and all in the same month.
No, there'll be two separate displays.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, good. Bob, anything else for the guys, the staff?
Well, while we're on the subject, the other one that possibly might be considered is the POW MIA issue. there's no recognition there either. And as a matter of fact, that flag can be flown below the American flag on the same flagpole.
Yeah, and you're right, that flag flew here for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did, right?
Yep.
Yep.
You know, if we're gonna show appreciation, we ought to get everybody.
Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. Very reasonable. Okay, good. Thank you for that, Bob.
Okay.
What else do we have? Anything?
No, that's all I've got.
Okay, man. Well, thank you for your input, staff. You guys good with Bob?
Yep.
Commissioners, any questions for Bob?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Bob, thanks for your testimony. Thanks for chiming in tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you, staff. Good stuff. Glad we can get them. All right. Next up, glasses.
Fee schedule.
It's good.
Okay, very good. Yes, thank you. Resolution 02-25, fee schedule. This is new business, but it doesn't feel like new business. It feels like revisited business.
We do have to revisit this every now and then just to update our fee schedule. Last time we did this was in 2017. And we, basically it was a zoning map amendment and different things for development. And again, we're talking about development, just a different aspect of it this time. The fees we're going to be talking about are directly related to pass-through fees, exactly what it cost us for the services we're going to provide. We're starting with the water cutoff. To have it turned back on, it's a $25 fee. We are proposing a $40 fee for that, and that's for the guys to go out and the time to cut it off and turn it back on, basically. And sometimes it's overtime. On the other pages here, some of the zoning code compliance permits from a single lot approval, which is $75, used to be $75. We propose to move that to $100. Now, these are permits that come into John Strong and the engineering team that actually reviews these. Same thing with additions and sheds, fences, and renovations. Those are all going to be elevated also. The plumbing permits that we're talking about here, especially with the newer developments coming up, we have a WSSC certified inspector, and he has his own rate schedule. And this is the fees are going to go from $150 per unit plus $10 per fixture to $200 per unit and $25 per fixture. And that's a straight-through cost of what we have to pay for the inspectors. And then the postcard goes from $60 to $100 also.
What's a postcard mean?
It's just for simple little things, not just doing a whole house, but could be a water heater or something like that.
Like we're installing this one new appliance. and we need
Exactly,
to-
kind of a thing, yeah.
Gotcha.
And then, there's several of them that are not changing, but then the last two are a wall check review and a mechanical permit review, both for $75 each, and these are both John Strong's also for the engineering team, and we propose those go to $100 apiece. So this is a resolution we put together with the proposed changes. This doesn't go to a public hearing or anything, we're just going to introduce it tonight, and then we can talk about it, discuss it if we want to, and then it'll be back up for adoption or potential adoption at our next meeting. So, any questions with the fee schedules?
We said we're gonna adjust them up, but obviously it's costing us more, so we're gonna increase.
It's a pass-through fee. It's just a service fee.
Yeah, there's no, this is, I just want to make sure, and everybody knows this, and I know we know it behind the desk, but this is not, there's no for-profit in any part of this. This is, in fact, I'm sure some of our costs, again, are going to exceed some of these, but you've moved them up in a reasonable fashion, and we may not go 8 years without revisiting them again, the way things are going these days, but this is overdue, and I appreciate town staff putting it together.
I would just emphasize, it's been 8 years, and so I think that's important. It's a small jump for 8 years.
It is.
Especially these past 8 years.
Yeah.
Just 3 years alone.
That's right. Yeah, good point. Okay, so this is just for your consideration. It's under new business. Everyone, please take a hard look with them. If you have questions, please consult with Town Hall, and we can bring it up for the next meeting, but this will be something we'll be looking to adopt in our next regular meeting. Oh, no, I take it back. Do we have to have we had no public hearing required? Right. Okay, very good. I don't take it back. All right, very good. Resolution 03-25, the no parking zone that's been proposed to be created. Go ahead.
So at the January 8th Parks Board meeting, the Parks Board recommended to the town commissioners that no parking order be implemented for Wooten Avenue between Fisher Avenue and the entrance to Well 3. It notes in the resolution where the where exactly the address is for that. Furthermore, the Parks Board recommend no parking from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. This traffic order, as I mentioned earlier, is due to the stacking of cars during the morning rush, where we had issues of traffic and pedestrian safety related to this area. And then similarly, this area is also a snow emergency route, and so we've had issues during the storm about making sure these areas are clear for the plows to do their work. So this is just the introduction of this resolution. There's no public hearing like the previous one. So it's just discussion tonight, and next meeting would be potential adoption.
There you guys go. Any questions on that? I appreciate that, Niles.
So it's about a quarter mile. No, not that.
No, not even that, yeah. It's basically just going from.
Past Kohlhaas.
Just past Kohlhaas, right
Yeah.
at the end of that last townhouse
Okay.
on Wooten is the entrance to well 3. So it's just, imagine there's the townhouses end, there's the single families begin, it's that stretch.
Right.
Because that's where the traffic is the heaviest during those times.
Yeah, the morning time, in the afternoon too, the
Yeah,
school
both.
lets out. You have
Yeah.
20, 25 cars can be,
Yeah, backed up in
And
there.
it's no parking only on one side of the road,
just one side.
just on the side
Correct, just
where
on the
homes
side.
are, the town.
Yeah,
Curbside.
Curbside, I guess it
Yeah.
is, technically.
yeah.
Have you heard any opposition or arguments against this proposal?
No, it went to the park board.
No, the Parks Board we had, and we had a couple of people ask questions about it, but no opposition to it.
You usually put out like a flyer to any
Well,
residents impacted
so
by it.
we didn't do that for this, but it was on the Parks Board agenda, and it has been on this agenda. And again, we had conversations with the townhome association. They had talked about parking in general. There's other stuff to be discussed, but this is one thing that we discussed with them as well.
And the people parking there are mostly people dropping off kids for school.
Yes, so
It's
most.
temporary parkers, it's not like the
Not always.
residents needing to park there.
Not always. There was a couple long-term parkers there.
Yeah.
And it's not in front of a residence or anything.
Yeah,
The
there's-
town has to set back off of the road, so technically they're only allowed to be there 48 hours, which is why we ended up having to remove a vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's really not a problem there all the time, but there's just certain times that it is.
Yeah.
And
okay.
we get a lot of complaints about that area.
Right,
And in general, that's
Congested.
a high area of
Yeah.
complaints.
The buses
about
are trying
parking.
to navigate through there, and you got cars stacking up and crossing over the road, and so it's just, it's a bad place.
And that's a couple of the complaints we've gotten have been from bus drivers.
Okay.
Dealing with trying to maneuver around cars there.
Yeah, okay.
And keep in mind too, so the town always keeps an eye on the places that people find that they can park cars long-term that are not necessarily legally parked.
Really?
So that they find the people, we have very observant people that live in this town, and they will figure out places
They're
to.
gonna find that loophole?
They will find that loophole, and they will park that car there, and that's essentially what we had going on in the last go-round, and it was particularly intrusive during the Kohlhaas waterline remediation.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thank you, town staff, for dealing with the problem and listening to the residents and pushing this forward.
Just one
for us.
question, one
So-
more question.
Yes, sir.
The implementation, like how many signs are you, I hope you're just gonna say like 1 or 2 signs?
There probably is going to be 3 signs, one in the very center near the Coalhouse Road, and then one in and then both out.
In both
One up near
areas.
Wooten? I mean, up near Fisher?
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
it'll
that's,
be at least 25 feet from the intersection, sitting back.
I just,
And then the
I don't
curb
like
will be
signs.
painted.
No.
no parking is probably
Painted
one of the better
or
ones
just
to
the
have,
sign?
but.
Yeah,
So.
Painted curb.
Painting the curb, we had not
Painted curb.
discussed that, but.
No, and painting the curb's okay in townhome developments and things like that, or around hydrants and things, but typically we don't do it. We have on Cattail before, and that didn't work anyways.
But since it's only during certain times.
Yeah.
That's kind of the key thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this question for you. I know sometimes in the townhouse communities, they will repave that lot, the parking lots. So when there's a need for extra parking because a lot's being paved, then we'll make an exception.
So when there's project,
right.
we do things, like during the waterline project, we bagged some of the no parking signs to allow people
Yeah.
to park in those areas during those projects. And we'll have to deal with that again when it comes to repaving. But this is about every time.
No, I'm with you. I just want to make sure that folks that in certain situations that we would put some practices in place.
Yeah, I like the water line thing we did. We bagged the signs and we put notices out, you can't park here.
Yeah,
Okay.
we explicitly
We
said that,
communicated
yeah.
with them.
okay, very good. Anything else on that, guys?
Nope.
Electronic sign display, this is our annual discussion, as we decided last year to start having annual discussions on this.
We did, so I went through the Natural History Museum. I think they have a website, they have it, and some of the federal websites. And things have changed a lot, so I try to pick and choose and try to get most things that would fit our community. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, and, I very well could have missed some, like Bob just brought, a potential one up. But let me run through it here just real quick, and so everybody knows what we're talking about for the electronic sign display. So we have Black History Month is for February, Women's History Month for March, Military Appreciation, and First Responders for May. And those would be two different displays, just on the same month.
Well, so I don't see one for April,
Yes, and there's some.
and I was going to propose one.
Okay, well, that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
I definitely forget stuff or miss stuff, so, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly.
This is my first time doing this.
Yeah, no,
But you did a good
wonderful.
job. All right, let's keep
Cheers.
rolling.
Keep rolling, and then we'll come back.
Then we have Pride Month in June, Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th.
Okay.
And Native American Heritage Month is in November. Now, this is also non-inclusive because we do have displays for federal holidays, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth. I mean, all that
Those will
stuff-
still be
That's all
happening.
separate stuff. This is
Yeah.
just, So this is the monthly operation thing. So that's the list I came up with, and then we're supposed to have a discussion and amend as needed.
I think they all look fantastic. The only one that I would add for the month of April is autism awareness. I know that that is a community in our community, like a sub-community that often feels a little bit on the outside. And I want to include like ADHD, like I don't know if there's a neurodiversity month, but at the very minimum, autism awareness.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
Which
go
I
with
think is the
autism
month of
because it is a
April.
national.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we've changed the lights
We've
at
done the
Town
blue
Hall
lights out
before.
here before.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
so that makes sense.
Awesome.
I like that idea. Also, too, Bob made a good point about POW MIA, and I know this is it's not a lesser issue for people that have missing in action or prisoner of wars that are still out there. They have a day right now that's in September, and it's the third Friday normally, and I see that on September there is already Hispanic Heritage Month as you said, it's a mid-month thing, September to October, which I think is a pretty cool idea,
Well,
too.
we can have overlap. We have the ability to have it displays. I mean,
Well, I think that I wouldn't mind seeing the POW-MIA recognition flag also be a part of that. I mean, if we had to, if the months were too crowded and it wasn't thematic properly, then, I mean, we could do with Military Appreciation First Responders Month, but I feel more comfortable if we did it during the month that it's actually has the day
It's recognized.
of recognition.
Okay.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
No,
No.
I don't.
Yeah, I think our American Legion also would embrace it and want to do something important for that. Okay, any other dates, guys? Any other things to add? I've already reviewed the list with town staff prior to the agenda, and I like what we have.
I think this is good for this year coming up.
Yeah.
So we add autism for April, and we
POW.
add POW-MIA for September.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else? Too fast for anybody? Brian? You good?
I'm good.
Doing research?
Just looking.
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff out there.
There is.
Yeah.
No, I like what you did. I did a full search on it too and just looked at all the ones that are, I'm not meaning to slight any group. There are definitely some obscure celebrations that are out there that kind of make sense. But I think it's a good list for us for right now. I think we cover a lot of bases here and we do it we do it meaningfully and so.
We get a motion to officially.
Yes, we need to we need a motion to adopt the amended list, which includes adding Autism Awareness Month for April and POW-MIA Month recognition for September.
I motion that we adopt the amended memorandum for the commemorative flag displays, the monthly commemorative flag displays.
We have a motion from Sarah to amend, to accept the list that Wade's proposed, amended to add the two additional recognition portions of it. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second from Brian. Is there any other questions or changes or additions?
I think
No?
it's good.
All those in favor of our revised list for 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, very good. Bob, if you're still on the line, thanks for the suggestion. We appreciate that. All right, very good. So before we get to old business, good old-fashioned water rates, anything else, town staff? We're okay? I wanted, we have representatives of the Poolesville Area Chamber of Commerce, and I wanted to ask if Julie and Tom would come on up so we can give you a good, solid round of applause, but also to give a report for us for the Chamber's dinner and give us a few more details on what you guys saw in the aftermath.
I'll go left-handed, I'll go left. Tom Kettler, 17917 Elgin Road, President Poolesville Area Chamber. I'm joined by
Julie Coolman, 16700 Bud Road, just his minion. Chamber board member.
Thank you.
His minion.
one thing I just popped into my brain, and I think you guys do it already, but back to the electronic sign, one thing that popped into my head, and I think you guys have done it, and it would, if we haven't done it, we probably should do it. We're going to try to step up the small business Saturday, which is usually the last Saturday in November.
I think we
and I
did
think we
something
did
last
that.
year because I did a post about it too.
Yeah, I think so. So and again, I appreciate that, and I just wanted to, if you're kind of looking to fill out the calendar, that would be,
Yeah, just give us a call on that, that wouldn't,
yeah, it's a one-day
Yeah.
thing. It's the Saturday after
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and it's part of a nationwide shop small, I think is what they call it, yeah.
Every day is small business.
Well, yeah, indeed, too. 365 days a year, for sure.
Our events, can our events be put up there? Like we're having-
So on the electronic sign, yeah. So if you just send it in, there's actually on the website, there's a form that you can fill out, and then just shoot it in, and then Hope will take care of that.
I'll send a whole bunch.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks.
we can't do everything, so.
Yeah.
We got the whole year planned.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, you're gonna turn her loose, you may have,
right?
sorry, you just said what you said. We've got it on tape, though.
So we had to get a second sign.
Yeah, right. Chamber sign. Yeah, I just, Julie and I want to come tonight, appreciate the opportunity to give a quick update, not update, a report, following the Chamber of Commerce annual meeting / dinner that we had earlier in February. We were very, very pleased with the turnout and the event, and partly was thanks to you all for helping sponsor the evening by supporting or paying for the local business leaders to come. We ended up, total attendance to the dinner, I mean, we had over 100 people at the meeting and dinner combined. We had 95 attendees to the dinner, 4 of the 5 commissioners. We won't name the one who wasn't there. Oh, that's right, he was in Key West.
I zoomed.
And we had the
I zoomed.
assistant, we had the assistant town manager, but we were missing the town manager.
Oh, good.
But maybe next year.
Yeah, that's,
I
yeah.
was in Key West.
Yeah, we won't call him that too bad. But we ended up with, yeah, we ended up from the VIP, we called it the VIP list, we didn't know what to call it, the local leaders list, of which you guys are on. We ended up with, I believe, 25, not I believe, I know, we had 25 people on that list that ended up responding affirmatively to the meeting. And in addition to that, there was some county council members who came to the happy hour, but we didn't have to buy them dinner because they had to take off. So we got extra credit for those.
They saved us money. Thank
Yeah,
you.
saved us money, right? So we had, I mean, I'm just drawing on my memory, so we had Marilyn Balcom, our county council person, was there for happy hour. Andrew Friedson was there.
Evan Glass was there. Evan?
Lorian,
Yeah, I think Evan Glass, Evan was there.
Natalie was there, right, yeah, Lincoln helped jump in on that. And then we had Laura Ann Sales came for that, and actually she was the only one able to stay for dinner, county council person, Sales. They had a budget hearing that night, so unfortunately, trying to work people's schedules, we can't cover everything, but we appreciate the fact that the council members were able to, made the effort to come out and say hi, and we recognized them during the happy hour and just thanked them for coming out, so, but all in all, we were very, very pleased with the event. We had also of course, we had the Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller, and again, Link and Jim did a fantastic job behind the scenes, getting the word out to these people to get them out there, but Aruna Miller came. She had her this kind of blew me away, she had an old entourage of security around her. I said, now I got to have like a security guard everywhere I go now.
She brought her expert on this policy and expert on this.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Ready to have those
And bodyguards, on top of that, so. And we welcomed her when she drove up to the driveway. I felt like, I was Air Force One going out to Andrews, as they came in and shook her hands and welcome to Poolesville. So, at any rate, she was there. And we had our sixth congressional representative.
Right. April Delaney.
April McLean Delaney.
Yes.
Get the full thing there, Jim.
Yeah, no, sorry.
She was there.
Still learning.
So again, it was, just all in all, it was a great turnout.
The county
and,
executive was there.
I'm sorry?
Mark.
And Mark Elrich.
Yeah, Brooke
I knew there was somebody I was forgetting, but yeah.
Yeah.
Brooke Learman was there, comptroller.
Brooke Learman, yes, who you, I think, Alan, you had met her at the, she was very impressive. She couldn't stay for dinner, but she came to happy hour, and I introduced myself to her, and that was great. So all in all, I think, everybody was very pleased with how the evening went, and be happy to answer any questions or get any comments. I mean, I know 4 of you commissioners were there. I think we're always looking, we just had a board meeting tonight, so we're always looking for feedback as to how it can be better. I mean, my only negative comment, not really negative, but was that the lieutenant governor was going to speak for a certain period of time, and she kind of exceeded that. So
Right.
that's unfortunate because she cut into time for other people to speak. But I mean, I think it bothered me. I don't know if it bothered anybody else, but
Talk to her chief of staff behind you.
what's that?
Said Link will take care of that for you.
Yeah.
The chief of staff, yeah.
We'll blame him for it, right? Yeah. So.
No, we listened. I wanted you guys to come up tonight because I really want to say, and I said it earlier before you guys got here, we've now created another event. And it's an event of advocacy that we'll thank you for allowing us to piggyback onto the chamber event. And now with our holiday party and obviously Poolesville Day, this event, our various Springfest, Oktoberfest, other parties that we throw that we want these guys to come to. And if we do have another economic development forum, et cetera, this is all what's helped put us on the map. And we appreciate the chamber being a very able partner to allow us to gain a foothold with these groups. And it really isn't it's an angle that that our council members, our county executive, again, the congressman and even the lieutenant governor have not had a chance to see us in action from a true business standpoint and to see how vital and vibrant our business community is. So to have them come out for that, even just come to the happy hour, I think it was money well spent by the commissioners in terms of advocacy. It's going to come back to us in big bucks. So, you just.
It was a great
I
venue.
had great conversations
Yeah.
with the county executive, with several different council
Yeah.
members, and some different nonprofits in the area. We were able to collaborate on some different things, so it was a fantastic event.
Well, that's great to hear, and I mean, we see our role as the chamber, obviously supporting the local business community, but in turn, we support the town supports us. We definitely see it. I mean, my vision of it is a symbiotic relationship, because if the town is stronger and the businesses are stronger, then everybody and our residents benefit from it, because that's part of what makes Poolesville special, is all these businesses that provide services to our residents. So,
Question for you.
yes.
Do you or can you offer a special rate for nonprofits to be part of the Chamber of Commerce? And do you have a sense of how many in your membership are nonprofit organizations?
That's a good question, Sarah. We've thought about that. I mean, right now, our dues are $105 a year. A lot of the other chambers in the county are $400, $500, $600, $800. It's something that we've talked about. I guess we've historically had our dues so low, and we don't, and it doesn't matter what size the company is, everybody pays the same rate. It's kind of one flat rate. But to your second question, I would guess we probably have, I mean, we ended up the year with 169 members last year. I would say we probably had, and Julie can probably jump in there, probably 15 or so that are nonprofits, somewhere in that range, 15 or so.
You don't feel, it sounds like what you're saying is you feel like the rates are already low and competitive enough that it's not creating a barrier for nonprofits to still be a part of it.
Yeah, I haven't had, I mean, and maybe it is, but we've got some churches that are members, we've got, WUMCO's a member, I'm just rolling down the list, Historic Medley's a district, a member, and, the list, there's more that I'm sure I'm forgetting about. Shine On is a.
Yeah, I would say our fees are so low that it isn't a hamper, and if it was and someone reached out to us, I'm sure we would work something out.
Got it.
On
Yeah.
the flip side, we try to do as much work with them and donations with them as possible. So I think
Right,
it's fair.
right,
Awesome.
right.
At this point in time. And if there was someone, again, who couldn't afford it, it's not like we'd say, no, we're not gonna do anything for you. Of course, our goal would be to help.
Great.
Yeah, and and part of it, frankly, is the chamber, with our due structure, it is, we basically run a deficit every year unless other things happen. So last year, we sort of broke even, but, we'd rather keep our dues down and and Julie's been good about generating some different events to help raise, money to offset the expenses that we have. We do our local business, helping businesses grow, which is great. We don't charge for it. It's run every month. But it basically costs us $100 a month to run it because we basically offset the food cost for that. So that's $1,200 a year that's, at the door that we've got to come up with, so.
So
anyway.
basically, working at a deficit, whether it's a nonprofit or not, we can't afford
Yeah,
to give away money. The
actually,
same-
we are a
the
nonprofit,
same
yeah,
thing,
right.
the same thing I keep spouting to everybody is if you don't have money, how can you give away free?
Yeah,
You
right.
can't. So, I would say we would work with and promote anybody we could, whether they're a member or not.
Did you have somebody in mind?
No. No.
Just sticking up for the little people.
I had talked to a couple different nonprofits and I was just curious.
Okay.
Yeah, not based on.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, it's something we could certainly bring up, and whether it's, $50 or $75, I mean, I don't know what but then it gets into, at the level that we're at,
And again, the chamber, I keep spelling to people, businesses will often ask me, I've been trying to promote a lot the past couple of weeks, well, what are they doing for me? Well, just like anything else, you only get out of what you put into it. It's a lot of word of mouth, it's a lot of networking, it's a lot of you get out what you put in. You put in nothing, you get nothing.
You have to take advantage of the networking.
Correct, is the networking, all of the different things. We have the website now, we're using Facebook a whole lot more, so anybody that is a chamber member, reach out to us and use us, that's what we're here for. And network, have an event at your business, promote education, anything you can educate the general public about that they wouldn't know, bring them in there, and that helps your business and everybody else's around us. The small business is the backbone of any community. You let us fail, and the community's gonna take a hard hit. So, to the town, the people, everyone, we gotta support our business members locally. That's what keeps us all going, so.
And I hope that like the chamber dinner gave our businesses an opportunity to see our elected officials in action.
I think that's great.
It gives them a close-up view of the people that we work with on a regular basis, and to be able to have that interaction with them and feel like they can have a connection. So we want that. We think it's important. It's an important service for our businesses too, to be able to know that there's a voice out there beyond just talking to themselves about what's going on business-wise. So we want to I think that's a pretty critical part of how this moves forward in terms of being able to, and I think it presents itself to the other elected officials as the same opportunity to touch base with small businesses in their district, in their community, that, one of the reasons why these people like us is because we welcome them and we tell them, and if they need to talk about how the business community is doing, we'll let them interview 5 business community members the next day. So it does work.
Yeah.
And I think that was a great opportunity for them to mix and match during that too.
Plus, I enjoy coming out here, so.
Yeah, and they enjoy coming out here. So we get.
The other corollary benefit from that night is from the email list of all the people we invited, we're going to add a lot of those people to our distribution for our constant, we have a newsletter we put out every month, and, and so again, it's just getting that information, the chamber information.
Yeah, that's smart.
And we send that to our members, of course, but we also send it to people like, Brooke was added to the list and people like that. And again, they may look at it, delete it, and never look at it, but, we can actually see from our constant contact newsletter that goes out, we have pretty good success rate on people. It's interesting, the analytics are there to see who opens it up, who reads it.
Boy, I got to remember that when I get all the emails I get.
Exactly.
Woof. Leave that up on the
I
screen.
never get a read receipt from Jim for some reason.
Call every day.
Not every day.
Not every day. No, it's all good. Thank you for that, Alan, Brian. Good commentary, everybody. Good stuff. Chamber, great job.
Yeah,
Keep up the
thanks.
Good work. Let's
Hey,
keep.
I'll make one more comment.
Yeah, Ed, sure.
So something to think about as you're looking at some of the delegates and some of the bills and things that they push forward, and if they might have something that members of the chamber would support, then maybe testifying like, out in Annapolis for some of those things. I know I did that for something Lily Chi was doing. And so, once again, as you're building those relationships, if there's an issue that someone's pushing from our delegate, like from the D15, and then it's being able to sign up in support of that, if it's something that you support. And so it's kind of having that information, just keeping an eye on what bills or things they're pushing out, and then being able to say, hey, is there someone within that chamber or some businesses where that issue is important enough to go and testify in support of that delegate?
I agree, and I think I brought that up at the meeting when I was talking, but not only in support of, maybe not in support of, it could go both ways.
Sure.
Yeah, it could.
And my comment at the meeting is really that's where we need your all's help, because honestly, you all see what's going on in the government more than we do. As not
Push things forward if we think it might be relevant.
Yeah, because I'm
just
not,
as
yeah,
a
I'm not.
chamber member, but as a small business owner, I don't have time
Yeah,
to
to
look
review all
at
that
everything
stuff,
the
yeah.
government's going out every day.
Yeah.
I've got to put out fires that are just happening locally. So a lot of times, I don't know these things until they're affecting me and they're on my docket. So what the chamber could use help from the local government is if you see these things that can affect local businesses, reach out and let the PAC know so we can let the businesses know.
Right.
Because as a small business, these things are hitting my docket when it's a problem. When I have to do something, I don't know about it 3 years before to advocate for or against.
Or, yeah.
So I agree with you. I would just say that the small business owners probably need help with that because we don't have time to
Yeah,
figure
sure.
that out. We got to figure out how to pay the electric bill and the insurance bill first. So I think that's where you all can come into play to really help us know what's coming up and if there is something we should put out to business owners.
Well, along those lines, I know what we do in Fair Access, we are staying aware of opportunities to sit on different county-wide groups or committees. And so that might be something to a business owner, even I know how it could be pressed for time, but there might be something they feel real passionately strong about, and there might be a good thing. So yeah, we could talk and link. We could look at how can we share that information with you all, because I know that's something that we have within the Fair Access. We have Nancy who's been working on compiling a list of these seats that become available, because we want to make sure we have representation at the county from this part of town.
Right.
Yeah, and they often ask for, some of the positions on those committees are like profession specific. Like they're looking for someone who is a professional from that area as an expert on that committee, whereas the rest of the people on the committee might just be residents. And so that's where I think it would be great to share
Yeah.
that list with the chamber.
I think the more people from our region that can sit at the table where decisions are being made, the better off it is for this side of town.
Yeah, the one thing on that, to building on that is recently we've connected with, I guess you all know her too, Maria Barbo.
Okay.
Yeah, with Visit Montgomery. Because
Maria,
that,
okay, the other
to me, that's a very good
Yeah.
fit in terms of they've got some money now to work on rebranding the Western or the Ag Reserve. They're also working on something on the Cino Canal. I mean, to me, that's a win-win with the chamber. So she came to our meeting in January, to our board meeting, and she and I are emailing back and forth, so we're going to try to keep, engaged with her to be sure.
Maria's a good con. She used to be on Fair Access. She's great.
Yeah, and the fact that she's, lives in town and is part of Visit Montgomery. I mean, I've been familiar with Visit Montgomery for 25 years, but they just haven't really, Kelly Groff has been there forever, but just haven't got a lot of traction out here. But the fact that she lives here, I think that's going to really, help us. And when I met her and heard about what she was doing, I reached out. So any of those, like you say, any of those connections where we can plug in are great, so.
So now you got all that?
Yep. Yeah. Nudge him over there, Wade.
Good stuff. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. That was
Thank
great.
you.
Good
Appreciate
give
the
and
time.
take.
Thanks.
Excellent event.
More community building. Good job. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Great time. Link sent a text out to all of us just a minute ago about National Farmers Day in October. And I'm not sure if you guys want to add that celebration onto the mix since we're all here
National
tonight.
Farmers Day, I
Yeah.
love that.
Or-
So it's October 15th, I believe.
And I think
That's a
if it's
single
just a
day.
specific
Yeah.
day,
But we can start advertising, say, October 1 through October 15th or something like that. Is that
Is it a day or a month?
12?
Well, we can do a daily thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's do that. You guys, I know we've already created the list. Do we need a motion, make a motion to amend the list that we've already approved for tonight?
No, because it's a day, not a monthly celebration.
It's something that
Okay,
you
very
would
good.
do.
Okay, good.
Typical,
Yeah.
Boy, we just slipped that one right through the cracks. Very good. That's business. That's government at its finest, guys. Thank you. All right, appreciate that. Link, thanks for the suggestion. Thank Commissioners, thanks for the acquiesce on that. That's cool. Next up, Resolution 001-25, water rates. This is a resolution that was introduced as new business. We've actually reviewed it. I'm sure Wade's going to, or Niall's going to have some sort of presentation for it, and then that's something that we're potentially going to adopt tonight if the board so moves.
Yeah, exactly correct. It was introduced on January 21st. We had a public hearing on February 3rd. And really, the purpose of this is to address the ongoing deficit that the Water and Sewer Fund has had, and it's been supplemented by tax dollars for several years. So in an effort to correct this discrepancy, we've done something a little bit different, and we've created 3 different categories for us to apply charges to. So we have a regular residential charge, and this is kind of unique that we've changed. Once you get to a high level, above the 25,000 to 40,000 and up, it's a much more expensive price per 1,000 gallons, just because we want to make sure that we want to enhance conservation measures and encourage people to conserve. On the same front, when we go to the commercial charges, because it's broken down, they have their own category. We don't have that because we find that the commercial users really don't have the ability to conserve too much. We don't see a seasonal variation in their bills from summer to winter. And so we don't harm our largest users because they're all in the top tier categories. So for economic development purposes, we're keeping, it's still being elevated, an increase percentage-wise, but we're not going to have a conservation measure applied to that. With the governmental fee, since they do not contribute to the tax dollars, we're going to give them an actual cost that actually takes in the capital aspect of the water fund, any debt service, and the operations together, and it's a flat rate fee. All categories have a set fee right now that will go up 5% for the next 3 years each year. And the effective date, if this is voted for tonight, will become April 1st. That way there's a lag, so by the time we collect the July bills, this will be applied to the new fiscal year.
Very good. Thank you for that. So, so the 5% is our projected for going forward, assuming this is adopted, with us having changed the rates somewhat dramatically or creating new categories that are part of today's movement, and then after that, what's projected out and that we're approving, but also this is something that can change every year. Is we're making this as a motion to make the change that's going to take place for this year.
For the next 3 years.
I know, but is that not something that we could revisit again during that time frame?
Well, we could if we needed to, absolutely.
Right. Okay, so that's why I said, we're adopting this for 3 years, but say we run into some sort of, well, again, we never heard of PFAS 5 years ago.
No, what we would do, we would amend this resolution.
Right. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that was clear for everybody.
Amend it.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
If we would run into some huge profit, we would.
Right. We could potentially lower rates. Okie dokie, that's,
Let me know if you see it coming.
That's optimistic.
While you're elected.
Good job.
Sticking up for the little people.
That's right. Yep. No, I get that. So everybody understands what we've got here, right? This has been something we've talked about, we've reviewed. We've had a public hearing on it. And this is really step one of establishing what will be our budget coming up over the next couple of years, and this is the water sewer aspect of it. Does anybody have any other questions for town staff? Yes, sure, why not? You're here.
So, well, I understand the raise and all of that, but we're talking about conserving and, the benefits of that. Has it been thought of if we think of a low threshold, like if you're under this threshold in the household, you're doing a great job conserving, we'll give you this bonus. I don't know what that could be, I don't know what that looks like. I'm just saying, if you hit under 80% of what is recommended for your household, and you get under that, if we're being, I don't want to use the term penalized, because we're not penalized, but we're being charged if we use more than that water, and some of us will use, I love my baths, so I'm gonna use more than that water anyways in the winter time, just because I like it, but I'm willing to pay for it. But what if you're doing a great job conserving? Shouldn't it be on both ends of the spectrum? You're getting rewarded for doing a better job? And if you use
Bill is lower.
well,
Oh, no, that's.
The rates are lower too.
That's not true. No, there's exactly right. There's a tiered structure that's in place right now. So it's not on my sheet here, but
but
we,
it's still going up 5% per year, and the only reason I ask that is in fact that his bucks is, so I know there's a lot of older people in town who can't afford, even when I tell them I'm gonna raise their mowing price by $2. And this would be a lot going water-wise, so I'm just afraid.
give me 1 second, give me 1 second.
Oh, you don't need to.
Okay, here we go. So the operations only is what's going to go to residents as far as the cost goes. It's usually $19 per 1,000 gallons of what it costs the town to produce 1,000 gallons of water. The lowest category, 0 to 7,000 gallons, which is, there's quite a few elderly people, just 2 people in the house, it's only $12.79. So everybody else is subsidizing the lower users already. So it's already built into the fee schedule,
Oh, okay.
so to speak. So you do, so on both, you're right, so you are getting it, but you subsidize on the lower end and then charge more on the upper end. So it's working exactly like you were saying.
Right, okay. Yeah, I would just highlight that somehow so the general person sees, hey, wow, great, I'll just use less water rather than look at it and say, oh, no, it's going up, somehow make the wording sound good for people. All right.
Well, we can tell you that if you're a 40,000 gallons person and more, and you just drop it just below that, you're going to get a 29% discount on your water rate. So that's a pretty hefty amount. If people just conserve a little bit, they would be throwing some water out there. Well, I didn't want to say, just get a permit.
Change the water.
Right, keep the same water and just heat it up.
Yep. Little chemicals, you'll be all right.
Yeah. Those, a little more chemicals in there and you got it. Okay, there's some great advice from the commissioners again. Hey, we're there for you.
We're here for you.
That's awesome. Yes, no, I like, this was pretty hashed out. We talked about this, and again, it does leave us, we always have the opportunity if something catastrophic takes place, or the math doesn't start working again, right? If we start seeing how this plays out, then, we could do it something sooner, but it is something that we like to think is going to stick with us for 3 years and be able to give us a real good 3-year rollout to see how it does. So that's part of the purpose here. Any other questions on it? Julie's bubble bath's been covered. Anybody else? Any questions for it? Shram, you okay? Good. All right, good. Yeah. All right, anything then, you guys, so this is it. We're up to someone making a motion to approve Resolution 001-25 water rates. If someone wants to step up to the plate.
I propose that we adopt resolution number 001-25, the updated water and sewer rates.
Gotcha, very good, that'll work. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Second from Alan, so motion made by Sarah, second by Alan. Any other questions on this? All in favor of approving Resolution 001-25 water rates, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, the rate schedule has been approved, and we move on to other ways to recoup our costs coming up in our next budget session.
Correct.
So be ready to go on that, everybody. This is just stage one. All right, very good. Town manager's report. Who's in charge?
I'll take it off first. Let's see, Kathy Bupp and Tara have been Working, putting a summer camp program together. They'll be sending out their notices to the camp counselors from last year, see who's available. They use the first call to come back. Otherwise, they'll be advertising and bringing some more counselors in and putting that program together.
Has there been any talk about rates, fees? I know that we had a former,
No, we're going to dodge that this
we had a former commission member that was interested in charging 4 times. He's, and he made some good points. But did we settle on a rate schedule at all? It's not up to us to decide that anyway. We defer to town staff. But is there any talk about changing it?
We did have some talk about it.
We did have some talk.
Still working on your actual
Was
costs?
to raise the out-of-towners, even though it's so minimal how many people from out of town.
Right, yeah, very little impact.
Elevated
Yeah.
fee now, but we can massage it a little bit. As we get to the budget work session, we have some better.
Okay, good. See, you dodged it, that's all. Thank you, keep going.
Okay. We've also been busy putting together some projects we have coming up. One is the electrical on Wayland Commons out here. We'll be doing everything. It's been in the budget for a couple of years. Had the 4th revision today and final, so I think that it's going to be good. Had an issue with the electrical contractor. He didn't understand what I wanted.
Yeah, well, that's good.
That's a problem right
You got to
there.
make them know.
Yeah.
Good job.
And he's making Preston happy, so.
Yeah.
that's what matters.
Right.
That's what matters.
Yeah, it does. And also the West Willer sidewalk, we're trying to get that scheduled in for spring break week. That's, school's out.
That'd be great.
So
Thank you.
we're going to,
Is that-
no rain that week, and it's going to be,
Now, is that 2025?
Yes. keep
Yes.
going.
Yes, keep going. All right, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I know.
know.
I see all the public works that go on down there. It gets me, it's a brain churning. Duval
We
Street.
also have the enclosure plans for well 2 and 3 completed, and we're finalizing the bid packet, and that has to go to MDE to be reviewed. That's a $700,000 forgivable loan that we're working on for that portion of it. We're also working on the westerly water line one still, trying to get Miss Utility out here to help us do the markings.
And they responded today, so I have some more things on that. So I'm talking to John about that.
Because we're going to survey all the utilities in prior before we can bid, so they know what they're going to be bidding on as far as, dodging other utilities that are buried everywhere.
Is this a GIS issue, or what are we talking about? here?
It's more about how the utilities manage their markings, because it's about aligning all of their issues, so.
Okay, yeah, I get it. I know,
There's one person that does the marking for Miss Utility in this area.
right.
So they've been called off on water main breaks everywhere, so during the snowstorms, it's just been,
Yep.
Yeah.
we're lagged 2 months behind now, trying to get this data just entered into the record so we can survey it.
And unfortunately, that person was let go today, so there we go.
Probably.
They're no longer with the government. God help us. Go ahead, sir.
Let's see, we had opening in the water department. Ricky Davidson is going through interviews right now, and he's got a good couple of applicants coming in, so
Good.
hope we get somebody good. And then we received
Did
notification.
you say the water department is hiring again?
Yes,
It's been advertised for
Yeah.
at least a month.
Oh, yeah.
a few
Yeah.
weeks, yeah.
You did say you knew somebody that might be, somebody was, yeah.
Yeah.
Have the applications been cut off? I'm asking for
Oh,
Sarah.
have they been?
No, they're open till filled is what we put on the notice.
Right, got it. Good, thank you.
And then, we're in the local insurance government trust fund for our health insurance. And each year, if you guys do good, or we do good, the employees, we get a rebate. And so we just got notice we're going to get a $133,000 reimbursement.
Awesome.
Claims were down so low. This is the second year in a row, so
That's
that's
great.
That's really good.
Nice.
Great, yeah, everybody did well. That's good. Safety first.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Awesome. Very good.
You have anything else, Miles?
I think
You guys.
I think we're good, yeah.
How's, nothing?
How's is good?
Wade covered everything for you?
Exactly.
All right, very good. All right, guys, what else you got? Anything, commissioners? Questions? Commentary?
I do got one question.
Here we go.
Just looking at, in terms of grants or things that we might apply for from the federal side, has there been any kind of negative impact because of all the layoffs in terms of causing delays for us?
We've not heard of any yet. And I did get an email today from State Highway about the Streetscape grant. I'm going to be meeting with them. I'm trying to get it for Thursday afternoon. So I was surprised they contacted me, so maybe it's because discussion you had already on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe so. That's
Behind the
great.
scenes, I see, Tom, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but since Wade brought it up, before you guys got here, one of the benefits of what you all put together was being able to do what we do behind the scenes, and so I talked to Susan Kennedy, and very direct, we need the money, what's the holdup, how do we get it?
Yeah, that's good.
And then she said, send an email, so I worked with Wade and Jim, craft the email, shoot it off to her, now we just gotta put the pressure on them to deliver.
When-
Part of the greater good, that's good.
Yeah, the greater good.
But then we're kind of waiting to see what happens with MDE and these loans that we're looking at, and the grants we applied for the whole system, the 5 million.
Yeah.
We won't be till next year, because those are federal funds that trickle down.
Yeah, and my thinking is that we gotta just kind of put pressure and help move things. As things continue to change, we want to kind of grab what we can grab before the things change.
PAC just needs to have an event every month.
Yeah.
That way, we can just,
There you go.
yep,
Like-
invite them all.
He goes, we do. We do have one
I guess
every
we gotta
month.
go to a sip and paint, right, Julie?
Yeah. Sip and paint.
Yeah, Julie, when's your next sip and paint?
Takes a month just to get a room.
I'm sure,
Gotta do this every month.
But we are
Every other month.
start an annual crab and fried chicken
On the calendar.
in September, and that will be right after school starts.
So this September coming up.
That'd be awesome.
yeah.
So we're gonna have a lot of our vendors and stuff for the kids out there. It'd be a great time to invite them again.
You got a location already?
Same areas.
All right.
September 6th, trying to wedge it.
So it'll be a
before
good
Poolesville Day after.
time to get those people down here again,
Mm-hmm.
see how local businesses, meet with everybody.
We should, Link, we should just have the chamber sponsor the Poolesville Day breakfast. There we go.
And run it, it's a lot easier.
Well, I was going to say, they do such a good job. All right, town staff, anything else, guys? Any other questions? Ed, since you extended us, you can be the second. Motion to adjourn from Brian?
All right, second.
Second.
Let's go. All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? We are officially adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for a good meeting tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Be soon.